right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Sons of Ben the Pod. It has been a long-awaited break here, but the three listeners were clamoring for us to get back on the mics here, so we decided to bring it on back for the 2023 season.
I'm happy for the five of you left. You guys are great. We appreciate you.
Now, welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
We are back here in the famous Subaru Park. Back for the 2023 season. We're ramping up. The season's only about a month away. I mean, we're getting down to that wire here. So
I was thinking about that the other day. I'm just like, yo, we have to do this again very shortly. And it's like, yes, when your team is good, you now have to play extra games. Yeah. And therefore, yes, now you have to.
We've got a few competitions this season, so we'll see.
Just a smidge. Like, was it 4? Like some 4 competitions we have? It's like, dear Jesus. Anyway, continue.
We're almost there. Where was I going with this?
That's a good question. It is what we call an intro. So do you want to introduce yourself?
No, not really.
No.
I'll try again next time.
Hi, Devin Garcia. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm great. It's
been a good little break. So much has happened since the last time we talked.
In like the last 48 hours, roughly, too. It's crazy.
I feel like we are just completely different people at this point.
I am, for sure.
Life-changing winter break here.
Look, man, when I told people after the debacle of the MLS Cup, I was like, I was never going to be the same afterwards. Like, I authentically am not. So it's like, yes, I've realized, like, oh my God, that did affect me
deeply.
And like the word core is thrown around so loosely, but affected my core.
No, we're happy to be back. We've got a lot to talk about. It's been a while, so I think we probably should just get right into it here.
Might as well.
Adam, I saw you pretty recently, this past weekend.
You did, yes.
We mingled and...
we mingled.
We actually got out of the house for once and did some things.
You left Jess at home as usual.
We stopped on over to help kick hunger. Over at Fat Lady Brewing over there in
vibe, by the way.
It was a vibe. That place was very nice. Very good beer. Yeah. Very good beer.
Very good beer.
I can say that.
It was
a fun little event. What'd you think, Adam?
Look, first I'll shout out to Eric and everyone involved that put that together. I was telling a couple of my friends, like, we used to do it in Fieldhouse down underneath the convention center, or next to the convention center underneath the Reading Terminal. And it was always a good event, but it felt cozy.
Yeah.
This felt airy, and it definitely felt like, look, the group is growing, our experience are growing, and I think after last season, a lot of people were really excited to just be around each other again.
Yeah.
So having that level of a space was actually pretty helpful for what was being accomplished there. Shout out to the Mystery Machine, too, for providing the eats.
Fabulous. Really
always come correct. Always a good time with them. So.
No, and I did say this past weekend, but it's like, going from seeing all these familiar faces pretty much weekly towards the end of the season, but at least every other week, and then taking a couple months off, it's like losing a whole set of family for a little while.
No, it is.
And it's like Help Cook Hunger is always a nice little reunion, bring everybody back together. Check in with everybody once again after a little bit of a break. So
how's the family?
Yeah, the holidays, the family, the whole small talk shebang.
So many people with children now that were like not large when I saw them last, and now I'm just like, yeah, look at him, he walks. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep. So no, that was fun. We had a good time down there. Just one Sons of Ben news note real quick. The Sons of Ben are participating in the Polar Plunge this year down at Citizens Bank Park. It's February 11th, and the goal there is to raise $2,007. Adam, do you know why 2007 is important?
No.
Just testing your trivia.
No, it's better if you just explain it to the audience, because if I answer it correctly, I just seem like a know-it-all.
Fair enough. 2007, the year the Sons of Ben was formed.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I watched the documentary.
So there is that. Go check out the social medias or check out the NAC. There's some links in there for that if you're interested.
It is very fortuitous that today is the day that we record a pod, isn't it, Devin?
Is it?
Yes, because you know what today is, Devin.
Now I'm the one that's going to sound like I don't know anything.
Oh, God, it's Founders Day of the Sons of Ben on Sons of Ben the Pod.
I probably should have known that.
Oh, damn. So now, after trying to embarrass one of us...
I've
Look
gotten
how
a
the
taste-
turntables.
The turns have tables.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, on that note.
Happy Founders Day. 16 years ago, a couple of knuckleheads decided, hey, we should start a soccer team in Philadelphia. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Come a long way.
Literally helping me stay employed. It's just crazy.
Oh, Adam, there's a lot of things keeping you employed. It's okay. And
No, I mean, yes,
some of them we
but,
can't
like-
talk about on this podcast, but we will.
I thank you.
we will.
Appreciate it.
We'll figure that out later. Let's see. So the teams right now getting ready. They're in preseason training. They're down there in
Yes.
Clearwater doing their thing. They got a whole preseason schedule going on there.
They do.
Seeing them kick about.
Having a kickabout. Having a kickabout
Just a
in
few.
Florida.
Just a few. Jim was quoted as saying that the guys really haven't lost a step at all. The intensity's still there. Same feels last season. Motivated and hungry to get back to MLS Cup is what he says. So it's real. I mean, that's kind of the bar now, isn't it?
I mean, it has to.
Like
be.
there is
I don't
no
know.
other. There's no other.
Like, you didn't lose enough people for you to believe that.
I didn't lose anybody.
Like, yeah.
Like, I mean, well,
Outside of Paxton, you
Yeah,
really
I mean,
didn't lose anybody. And then, but then everyone else did, though.
were you
Like,
surprised by that?
What, that Paxton left?
No, not more people than Paxton left. I was expecting at least a piece or two here to.
This
gather
Kai
some
Wagner
attention.
thing is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
He's obviously an elite left back. Like, there's no doubt about that.
of course.
The question is just like, is the asking price too high? Because like, that's a position. It's like a lefty reliever picture in baseball. Like, there's always a market for that human. You're always going to need a left back. There's just an international shortage of elite versions of this person. So, I mean, I got to imagine either the union are asking too much, or the teams are not, or the teams are intentionally lowballing because it's Major League Soccer, and like, we're over that shit. LA did that the other day where like they were trying to get lowballed from one of their players. They're like, no. Like, no, like, that was
know
a
what's
cute
going
thing
on.
that y'all used to do
Yeah.
once upon a time to this league, but we're over that. We're on to the next. But look, I gotta be honest. I feel that you might lose some of these people by mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, it's depending on if they work well. But I also feel like Ernst is going to be in a position to be like, okay, here's how we replace those people, in a relative quick fashion, because I have no reason to not. That's literally what he's been doing since day one with this organization.
And a good little transition to something else I wanted to mention: Ernst Tanner winning Sports Executive of the Year. So I mean,
As one does.
Of course, you're gonna trust your guy when he's winning awards. So.
No, I mean, look, and this is something where it's crazy the immediate impact something like this has, but like Ernst Tanner basically took what Ernie Stewart built and just said, I can do this 5 times better.
Yep.
Like, this is cute, and I like what you did with the place. I'm just going to do a couple of renovations here. Don't worry about it. It's going to look virtually the same. And he flipped maligning middle-aged Harris Medunians and Elsinos and gave us Ures and Carranzas. And, like, love all of those people. Got no qualms with any of them. Like, but at the same time, it's just like he recognized what the difference was between the Union and the rest of the teams in MLS. And it was a authentic, this is 1.0, this is 2.0. And the Union was still in a 1.0 fashion with roster construction. And he was like, look, if you want to do that cheap thing, we can do the cheap thing. I'm not against that. I'm actually a big fan of it. However, can we do it more intelligently?
Do it the right way. Yeah.
And now he has this team in a position where Pedro Ribeiro is not coming off your bench in a final, for the betterment of your franchise. So you beat Seattle, you don't have guys that you would never trust in a friendly, let alone a final, trying to win you matches. Like, that's the biggest difference, I think, authentically, outside of, like, because I think Jim was always a good coach. I don't think Jim I think Jim, with a proper roster, was able to finally flourish into being a good coach. So the catalyst to a lot of this success, in my eyes, is, Ernst Tanner's existence.
For sure. He did a couple things this offseason, though. Signed Daniel Gazdag to a new contract there. He's a DP player now, and he takes the number 10. So
I saw that coming.
That is pretty exciting. I'm sorry if you got a Gazdag 6 jersey, but
I also think I predicted that on this very podcast.
I think so too.
I'm not gonna be that guy about it because I don't remember when I did it. So someone's gonna be like, someone who actually cares about this podcast is gonna be like, no, you didn't, Adam. You just said it on Twitter a bunch of times. But I was always like, Gazdag definitely looked like why are you not already the number 10? It just makes more sense if you were. Because you're definitely not a 6. Let's be real. But yeah, look, he's great now too because we have our Henny Mokhtar now. We have our guy that he's not an international superstar. Not the casual fan in Europe is not going to know who Daniel Gazdag is playing for Philadelphia, even unless you're a Hungarian fan. However, in MLS circles, we have a dude that people know as a dude. It's have we ever had a dude like that?
Not that has proven it on the field, I would say.
Right? I don't think we've ever had a dude that we were just all of Major League Soccer knows that this dude rocks.
Unless you go back to Seba, but
I love Seba to death, but Seba never world beat it like that.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Gazdag on a team that was already
it was at the time.
For where Major League Soccer was, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just where Major League Soccer is now. You look at a guy like Gazdag, and you're just this is the next evolution because in a league that had it's Sebastian Giovinco and all of these guys come in here and just set the world on fire. The Union have never had one of those guys on a transfer come in here outside of maybe Barnetta.
Yeah.
And really just be no, I'm him. If you were curious, I am him. And that's big. That's absolutely massive. And it's cool. Sign him for forever.
So he signs Gazdag. He gets Andreas Pereira from Orlando, 22-year-old defensive midfielder there. So
love that move.
Just to learn under the wings of Brujo. And
whatever.
Maybe it's a move for the future. We'll see.
The kid play as well. I've seen. I've obviously done reading up on the stats afterwards, but he played very well at Orlando. They seemed not the happiest to see him move on, but definitely I believe it's going to be the Union's game there. So that's good. I'm excited to see his product.
Pereira is a Colombian American, so I can. Always like to see that.
At least that helps.
Just from my personal...
Just from your own personal... You and El Pasero are just out here being babe. No,
yes.
It's legit. But I'm also here for the idea of he also has I want him to just be an easier green card situation. So when the U.S. Open Cup rolls around, that doesn't... Because I'm still the only person who A, cares that much about the U.S. Open Cup, and B, recognizes the green card situation of the U.S. Open Cup being very difficult.
Yeah. I don't know that that's the number one priority on.
Look. As we still don't have a trophy, guys. I don't know what to tell you. We are a very good club now, and I'm happy about it. Still don't have a trophy. So if you want to tell me it's the U.S. Open Cup, I'm taking it.
I'm sure you already see where this hypothetical is going.
I'm just saying.
But would you rather U.S. Open Cup and we get knocked out in the semifinals, or we make it to MLS Cup, but there's no guarantee?
Who are we playing?
Yeah, let me draw up an entire hypothetical.
I need this. I actually want to play this hypothetical game because this is a very good ass question. I need to know who we're playing.
Let's say, obviously, do we say New York and LA again?
No, the Eastern Conference final doesn't matter. The Eastern Conference final doesn't matter because we win it. I'm saying it's MLS Cup final. You said we lose in the semis?
Yeah.
Who do we lose in the semis to?
Well,
if it's wait, who did we beat to win the U.S. Open Cup?
Who do we beat?
Yeah.
All right, let me just pick out of a hat.
Yeah, no, I'm like, all right. If it's okay, basically my question is, do I care about who we beat to win the U.S.
So
Open
is
Cup.
that what matters more to you?
This year is a revenge tour. I thought about this today. Like I have no real qualms with Los Angeles Football Club. I really don't. Like I have no inherent issues with them. They've never like done wrong by me as a club. They just won a game that I really wanted to win. That's authentically my philosophy. Yeah. However, I also want them to burn. So it's like I only care this season about September 23rd.
Yeah,
this is really the only game because like last year I was caring about the New York game.
Yep.
And I'm like, nope, monkey off the back, gone there, done that. They haven't beat us in 4 games. Like they're our bitch now. They only could beat our B team. The city of New York doesn't frighten me.
Yep.
Red Bull, NYCFC, the DC United, we own I-95.
Yep. I would agree with that.
None of those teams bother me. However, that LA thing is real for me only because the amount of times I've been on Union social media and random LAFC fans will come on to troll us. I need blood. And the only thing that pisses me off is Gareth Bale's not going to be there. Because I needed that.
Gareth Bale came to LA just to ruin our dreams for about 15 minutes and then ride off into the sunset on a golf cart.
So, like, Devin, you're like 12 years old, right?
About that. I mean, maybe 13 if I'm lucky.
Okay, so have you ever seen the movie Tango and Cash?
No.
Okay, of course not.
Cool.
So, there is this one scene where the main villain is just like, Ray Tango. He dances in, he takes my drug, and he waltzes out again. It's literally how I felt about Gareth Bale, where he just came into this league for 5 minutes just to make me feel the maximum amount of sporting pain. And then just left.
That's it.
And then said, I'm good. I never have to kick a ball again. Like, I'm going to go to the World Cup. I'm going to represent Wales. We're almost going to make it to the knockout stage. I'm going to score like 1.5 goals, and then I'm good. I'm good. And my thought is, like, I don't think there's been an equivalency of this. This seems like some Robin Hood shit. Like, I just feel like there was a crusader, there's a mercenary. Like, he just came in, did the maximum amount of damage, and then just floated out. Just absolutely nuked the place and then just flew out. And I was just like, how are you allowed to leave after that? Like, who gave you permission to go? You have to come back and suffer a consequence of some sort, don't you? She's like, nope.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me around to that schedule release and a good transition there. So, I mean, LA at home is just going to be, everybody has that circle on the calendar at this point.
War.
I mean, that's the one game that is just.
And it's like, and I don't like, and it's like, it's not like I don't like them. I don't hate.
No, but it's
like you have to die
we've wanted
now.
them at home for 4 years now,
and we never
we've never got. This is the first time we've gotten our chance at home against them.
It is
and,
playfully annoying. We've played them once at home in their entire club's inception.
Yeah, so here we are. We got the home opener February 25th. As we said, it's about a month away. And it's a nice Saturday night primetime game. It's going to be such a great way to start the season against Columbus, who's a team that, like, I don't know about you, but I like playing Columbus. It's always a pretty exciting game. I feel like they show up pretty well, and they have a decent team over there. So
they got good fans.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, again, I don't hate them or anything. I don't have any bad blood, I don't think. But, I just, it'll be a good game. So, good way to start the season.
It is a good way to start the season. It's also, like, Columbus is not a bad team. They came off of MLS Cup. Now, granted, they had one of the worst, performances or seasons after winning an MLS Cup, possibly in history. Yes, they did. But, that's still a competition, or that's still a club that you treat with some reverence, and you treat with some these guys have been here, they've done it, they've got the t-shirt,
Yeah.
So I'm excited to start the season like that. I think Philly's excited to start the season like this, and I think that, and it's not discussed enough, that Philadelphia getting good now is a net positive to MLS because they want this market. to be excited about Major League Soccer.
Is it odd that the top 3 Eastern teams are probably from Pennsylvania and Ohio?
No, I mean, yes, but no, because it's just like, if you look at our pedigree of the city of Philadelphia, like, well, we're making all the best athletes in the world, so we might as well just, actually have some good teams associated with them anyway. But it's just like, I'm very excited to get this season started. I'm also just like, I'm still on the revenge tour where I'm still pissed off that game happened. So like, I told the fiance, I'm like, just make sure the lawyer is on standby. I might need some legal counsel after that game, because like, I know LA fans are gonna come, and they're gonna come in droves, and I also know that like their proximity to where the Sons of Ben are, it's just, look, it's not good. I'm not going to be the first person to break that news to anybody, but the fact that we're that close to the away supporters is not good. It's not a good thing. And I think
I like the banter. I like the cross section banter. Although it's not during the game that you're worried about.
Oh my god! The best part about this is Devin has like no idea like how it really happens. Like he's like, oh, I like the banter. I'm like, as a capo, I'm like, yeah, you like the banter. I like getting hit in the head with fucking plastic cups. Yeah, that's me.
Fair enough.
Guy. No. But like legit, that's going to be awful because they're going to be saying things and I'm just going to have to be an adult, which I'm not going to like, but
Who does? All right. So the only other takeaway I had from the schedule was, just kind of looking at the home games, as those are the ones that I'm most worried about, as I'm sure you are as well. But the home schedule is pretty much 2 extremely congested portions at the beginning and end of the season, with a lot of break in the middle over the course of July and August. So,
oh, sweetie. You know why there's all those breaks, right?
Oh. Well, it's probably the Adam Booth honeymoon is in there somewhere, I'm sure.
No, it's because there's fucking 10 tournaments that were in this year that hasn't been scheduled yet.
Well, we won't worry about those yet. I'm just going to just be hopeful.
The stuff that's in front of us, I get it. Just whatever's in front of us. I'm just dealing with what's in front of me.
So that's that. And I want to pull up the Apple TV...
God, I'm so
here.
excited for that to be as terrible as I am now. That's gonna
Listen, I will say what I always say about most of these things. I will give it a shot. I'll let them have their shot. We'll see what kind of product they put out. And
I can't guess anymore. I'm very bad at guessing if things are going to succeed or not.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way, I think. It could be very, very good for the league, or it can very, very be very bad for the league. And we won't know until a year from today. We'll talk about it.
Here's the thing. It's going to be something where it's going to work. It's just, when is it going to work? And what level of casualty will be sustained before it works is going to be the problem. If this was the English Premier League, you could do it in a heartbeat and no one would give a shit. Yeah. And the reason why is there is enough fanfare and following where people are like, I have to get this in my life, so I'm going to get this. And a diehard MLS fan is going to get this, right? Yeah. And it comes with season ticket holders, which is a good chunk of the fan base, or fan bases, or a good chunk of people who show up. Like, MLS, a lot of the people who like MLS are also in the stadiums during MLS,
Yeah.
So a lot of them will probably get this by proxy, and that'll be okay. But my biggest issue is I have bars in Philadelphia now that don't even get NBC Sports.
I don't know that I'm necessarily worried about the argument of bars not being able to play the games.
Why not?
Because I feel like bars already have smart TVs nowadays, or ways to show app games and stuff. Like they're obviously showing Premier League games right now, and only one of them is on TV every now and then. So I mean, there's definitely ways around it. I think that it doesn't even matter. I mean, okay, I'll speak from a Philadelphia perspective. I don't think it necessarily matters, because I don't think there's bars that are clamoring to show this. If there's a bar that is going to show it, it's because they made an effort to show it. And if you're going to make that effort, then they're going to have some way to show it.
But I think that's a part of it, though. I think the fact that you have, groups of individuals and people who are going to miss out on this. So so much of this sport is media for Americans, right? Like whether it's like FIFA, whether it's actual, going like watching it on games, whether it was like movies people saw, Ted Lasso, like whatever it is, Americans don't get into soccer the way the rest of the world does. They get through a back door, but it's an interesting way to do it. So it's like, with the recent World Cup being during the holiday season and giving people a weird, like, I think that's actually a weird part of the World Cup that actually worked out for it, was being during the holiday season, because you had people in large chunks of the planet Earth who were forced inside anyway. So they're just like, all right, I'm gonna watch this thing. Where if this thing is during July, yeah, I might catch it. I'm also going to the beach. I'm also going out. I'm also doing my own thing, but I'm also going to catch the World Cup games that matter to me. I think you caught almost all of the games. They're like, what are you doing? It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You might as well just watch all of these games. Yep. So I think that worked out for them. But like, I think if you want, you gain the casual person through exposure, right? And if you make your game harder to obtain, especially when it's not like the NBA or the MLB where it's like it's the only version of soccer that exists. If you can get, like, I can get all of Serie A on ESPN Plus right now. I can get the whole league, all of their matches. I can get the Bundesliga as well. That's before I have to buy another app to get my own domestic league that is not as popular as either of the leagues that I just mentioned.
Fair point.
So look, ultimately it's going to work. I believe in the Apple deal as a whole. It's going to work. In the short term, though, because I know a lot of bars that don't have smart TVs.
Of course. Yeah.
Especially in Philadelphia. That has a lot of old school dive bars and all that who got plasma TVs out there and thinking that's like high end. You're going to have people tuning into the Phillies like they always do, instead of a casual person even catching the Union out of the corner of their eye. And I think that hurts in the short term, especially for a team like the Union that, even though they're at their peak right now, like outside of winning MLS Cup, this team could not be hotter. So you want to strike while this proverbial iron is hot. You want the casual fans to be able to get to you. And when you're on my PHL 17, you still have a way to get to the casual fan, where if you're putting them on Apple TV, it's the same struggle I have trying to watch Thursday Night Football when it's on my Amazon Prime app.
Yeah. PHL 17 is not Fox or NBC or ABC or any of those.
But it's accessible.
But I don't know if accessibility is necessarily the problem of them. I think this is MLS realizing what their demographic is. If you're MLB, I'm sure your average viewership is a lot higher age-wise than what MLS is. I feel like nobody's accidentally watching a soccer game because it happened to be on TV, especially a Philadelphia Union game. I don't think that's necessary. And with the age of social media, I think social media
at
is
a
now,
bar, maybe,
but
especially in the age of betting.
I think social media and that whole aspect is now your main form of exposure. I don't think necessarily being on a network TV channel is as big as it used to be.
See, I only disagree for the fact that when I go to an Eagles game, I see the people who are not at an Eagles game, and I'm thinking most of these people are not on Twitter.
Again, MLS understanding their demographic.
No, but as a person who's capoed for the Sons of Ben, our fan base is more similar to an Eagles fan base than a lot of people would like to give it credit to.
Okay.
We flux.
Yeah.
We flux in age and technology savviness and all that, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. And again, this is just like the podcaster banter, if you will, but it's just like there are some gentle limitations to the Apple TV deal that I think are short term, but once everyone hops on and just has it as like another streaming service, none of it's going to matter. And in fact, it's probably going to be a better deal than most, And I think the MLS getting on the ground floor of that is great. I do kind of feel for losing the regional flair.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks, For us, JP was a king.
JP was everything. I mean,
even his revolving door between Tommy Smith, between Alejandro Moreno, all these guys who were his color commentators, it still added a very unique sound to the Union. Hearing Union go, like just hearing it in that regality of a person who is a Hall of Famer of his craft. It put an air of sophistication and legitimacy on the Union to have a guy like that commentating for your game, specifically in a city that thrived on having some of the best commentators for their sports.
Yep.
The Union were up there for the particular audience. Yeah. So that sucks. The dude in DC who yells, "It's in the net." Oh, it's in the net. I'm gonna miss that. You know, as much as I do love that Sebastian Latou's getting play here, and Maurice Adou's in it, and, you know, and all that. It's cool, but
we'll see how it comes together.
It's like the NFL. I don't like the fact that the NFL doesn't like you. When you have the radio, listening to the NFL on the radio is 100% different than watching it on television because of the regional flair. Your broadcast.
This kind of brings me to another question, right? And because we haven't really recorded, I think we recorded mid World Cup. I don't think we recorded after like the knockouts and stuff.
No, it was like November 23rd, I think.
So watching the World Cup, especially for me, you get to see the difference in American commentation and presentation versus others, and right. So I like being able to hear Peter Drury and commentating on that final game was totally different experience than if you were watching the American broadcast and hearing that, because I get it, you want to put an American flair on it at some level, but I guess my question is, where do you think this falls in that whole aspect of it, where would you rather see us go full American style, like college football American style, or would you rather see us kind of regress more towards what the European style is?
So this is kind of a discussion that we have at the Philadelphia Phoenix, because historically ultimate frisbee has been played a certain type of way, and the way that the AUDL is playing frisbee is much more towards how traditional sports are played in America. We have 4 quarters, they're timed quarters, you know, we have just like lines, like, you know, fouls of a particular type, which if you ask a person who plays both club frisbee and pro frisbee, they're almost night and day kind of sports. And the reason why the AUDL went in that direction was they believed that if they wanted to thrive in America, they wanted to make their league seem legitimate, they had to mimic the other leagues in America.
Yeah.
For me, I know why everyone leans on the British voice as the sound of soccer. It's the same reason why we lean on the Canadian accent. You don't really think about it, but that's very important to your hockey listening experience, is people from like Keith Jones giving you details. It's always that Canadian accent. Like, you're used to it. There's a familiarity with it. But I also believe there's a big chunk of Americans, casual fans, that don't like that because it believes it's not our sport by that proxy. That it takes away from our exposure. Because it's like, do you believe in Britain they're using like American NBA commentators?
No.
You know, like there's specifically like baseball commentators from like the Bronx, specifically to get that crisp American sound. Like, you know, like it's like Ian Drake being used in America, or all these like really great British, like Kate Abdo, you know, or you know, any of these particular British or European voices, or even Latino voices, to give the sport more legitimacy in America, because it's not ours.
Yeah.
And I think the more, if we're gonna grip this as our game, because on the women's side, most certainly it is, you got to go American. You know, you got to, because you need your voices on it. You want to hear your, like, the most famous goal call in American soccer international history is arguably Go Go USA, done by a British man who almost sounds like he's making fun of us when he's making that. It's like he's not. But like the phrase "Go Go USA" from like a British man sounds borderline condescending. Like, oh, look at you, look at you do the thing you never do. Oh my god,
How cute!
how adorable! Go Go! And it's just like legit. So I'm like, I think you need to take it. I think you need to take the game by the scruff. You need to put it. You need to make American voices the sound of your soccer, because then Americans feel more comfortable about soccer as a whole being a game of our game. You know.
Yeah. So that's that. And we had a draft as well. I mean, that's something else we missed. I don't know that it really was too exciting, other than the fact that we pick somebody from U2 because MLS rights are fun, and
I mean that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
I think we should mention the fact that
So
our league is so bizarre that we had to draft our own player.
No, I'll give him a little credit here. So 28th overall, we got Holden Trent, a goalkeeper from High Point University, and then 57th overall, we selected Stefan.
Come on.
Stojanik.
Wow. No.
Oh, lordy.
You're making it progressively worse.
Stojanovic.
I'm going to stand by the fact that if you went by your first attempt and was confident about it, that was much better
we could
than
have blown right through this.
Because you just went and I was like, nope, everyone now knows you have no bleeping clue. In fact, borderline insulting.
I believe he went to Georgetown University, came to U2, left again, and then we drafted him because we didn't own his MLS rights, even though he's on U2, because MLS, again, is a lot of fun with their roster rules.
Yes.
So.
Yes, they are. Good job all around, people.
What else we got here? Let's see. We could get into some...
I will say that is the most Ernest Tanner way to spend a draft pick, though. Yeah. Like, I'm going to just draft my own guy. Like, I don't actually want this pick to the point where I will draft my own player to legitimize this pick. But yeah, it's good.
The league said you have to make a pick. You can't not pick this season.
You can't not pick.
He's like, all right, I got you.
All right, I found the loophole. Oh, I gotta pick someone this year, you say.
What else? We got Paxton to Frankfurt. I don't think we really have gotten to talk about that yet on the podcast. So, or did we? Maybe we did.
Even if we didn't, cool. Yeah. I'm excited for him. I'm obviously thinking this is like a 2-year thing before he tries to find his next move or something, because like the Bundesliga loves to be a stepping stone for Americans now. But
I think it might be a 2-year thing till we see him starting at all. Or playing 2 years before he's playing meaningful minutes. I would have to guess.
I mean, if you're Frankfurt, you hope.
Yeah.
Like if you're Frankfurt, you hope you don't have to throw this kid into the water like that.
Yeah. So there's that. The next thing I have on here is AMLS related.
Yes.
So we've got a guy now, right?
Yeah.
And who would that be?
His name is Thiago Capo.
Thiago Capo.
Yeah, the man.
What do we got? Give me the inside scoop.
He's an Honduran national. The man is very savvy on the marketing side of EMLS. He's very into him. Like, again, it's going to sound conceited, but like when you're playing video games, marketing yourself is extremely important. Like you have to have a reason for people to want to watch your streams. So you have to give personality. Yep. You have to do this, that, and the other, or just be sexy. Either on one of these things usually tends to work. Pick one of these things and rock with it, and you usually be very successful. That being said, he top 20 in North America, so he's very good. He has his own coach, which is great. That means I don't have to coach this year, which is cool. But, he comes with a lot of attitude, like a lot of positive attitude. Like he comes with a lot of energy. He definitely wants to be good. He wants to get his name out there. He wants to win these competitions, and he wants EMLS to get the respect it deserves. Like we're probably, for what we do, a top 3 league for esports and all that. But he wants, more reverity, like he's out here being like, hey, we can do this sponsorship deal. We can do this sponsorship deal. And I'm out here being like, dude, we're in Major League Soccer. Our sponsors are as ironclad to our league as any soccer club in the world. So like, no, but I like where your head's at. Yeah. But we got League Series 1 coming up next week, which is cool. That'll be up in
foray for him into an EMLS there.
Yeah, and it'll be up in New York, which is dope. So we'll have one of those competitions, and then we'll be back in New York in about, I believe, 3 weeks, and then we go back for League Series 2, and then March I will be in Austin again for South by Southwest for League Series for the Last Chance qualifiers, which hopefully we don't even have to participate in this year. That'd be nice if I can just show up like Dulsta did in my flip flops. That was
just chilling.
That was such a power move. Yeah. Like the guys who had already qualified for like the final day, just showing up to Q2 Stadium and just walking around like in casual gear, be like, "What's up? What y'all doing?" And it's just like these guys sweating for their lives to like justify their team sending them across the country and all this, and freaking Dulsta is just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Awesome. Well, we're gonna look forward to that. Look forward to seeing him. I saw some things online. There's some tournaments and stuff that he's doing with the fans. So
we're gonna do some fan tournaments coming up. Stick to my Twitter handle or just Tiago's. Which I'll be, if you haven't seen me tweet out his stuff, I just tweeted out his stuff today, which is Tuesday, January 17th. So, either that, we're going to start to try to produce a little more marketing around him. So I have a handle that I've had people follow in the past, at Digital Snakes for esports comment, and we're probably going to start to populate that more and more. So. That's awesome. Where you're going to get it from. And my face will be everywhere. So I'm excited.
Looking forward to that. Always looking forward to Adam's face being everywhere.
As the league does.
What else we got? I saw Sean Brace down there. I was down at a Philadelphia Wings game for the first time.
Sean Brace.
So I just want to give a quick shout out to Sean Brace, doing big things down there on the field for doing some. Not commentating, but what would you call that?
MCing.
Hype. MCing. Yes.
Yeah, he is moving the crowd. Yes.
No, he does a great job down there. Sean Brace just does a great job all around. But no, he was
the man's a treasure.
Big things down there. So shout out to him. Mark McKenzie also doing big things. Also killing it with Genk right now. I just want to say, if nobody's seen what Genk is doing right now, go check it out. They're 10 points clear at the top of the table right now. They just beat Club Brugge 3-1 the other day in a packed stadium, and Mark McKenzie's starting every single game this season. I mean, I think I looked; he's played 90 minutes in just about every game. So he's cemented his place there. Obviously, the team's doing very, very well. So he gets the credit there for that as well.
I'm really happy for Mark because I think. He's been a forgotten portion of a lot of this. Like Brendan has obviously gotten a lot of the attention because, like, obviously getting into the Premier League is a little more prestigious than the Belgian league. Mm-hmm. But he was as big of a part of the success of that team that won the Supporters Shield as much as Brendan was. Yep. He was the guy who made it difficult for guys like Glesnes and Elliott to even get on the field because of his level of play. So. To see him still succeeding at a higher level, it's really exciting for me. And I hope he gets more, U.S. looks moving forward.
This is exactly what you expect, right? I mean, he played his whole career here, right? Mm-hmm. And going overseas obviously is probably a bit of a culture shock to him. And so it took him a year to get acclimated a little bit. But this season, he's been right back where he was the last season when he was with the Union and playing at a high level. So you could see him in the next, like you said with Paxton, like a 2-year plan, kind of. I could foresee the same thing with McKenzie, and he's 23. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of time ahead of him, and especially as a center back, defenders are always a little bit later on that scale. So
look, if you're going to tell me Aaron Long can make the World Cup for the United States of America, Mark McKenzie is definitely in the conversation.
I would say forward. McKenzie is very correctly on track for a 2026 role if he continues doing what he's been doing. So
at least getting into the camp, getting into the camp, if not exploring that deeply. But look, again. We're always happy for the alumni because it's a proof of process. It justifies what they were doing in Wayne, now moving it to Chester, but what was happening there. It's a justification of process. And look, it's now not a joke, the level of sophistication that's coming out of the Union Academy now. Like it's the people know.
Yeah.
The people know. The people understand.
Let's see other alumni. Would you count Midunian as an alumni? Because
absolutely.
He did his best Glesnes impression and smacked the ball from about 35 yards out and scored for PEC's goal.
You know, the thing about Harris is Harris was a part of the transition. You know, like I always make the analogy back to the 2008 Philadelphia Phillies and all that, and like, oh yeah, that was big. But the years right before that, like the David Bell, you know, Jim Thome, those years that led to the success down the road when the guys like Utley and Rollins and all of them finally got together. It was the same thing here. Harris was a huge chunk of the success that the Union felt during that transition period between being a abysmal club and then just being a delightfully mediocre club. And, you know, so I'm big fan of what he does. I'm glad he's out of Cincinnati so I don't have to not like him anymore. And yeah, happy for him.
Awesome. Well, that brings me to about the end of what I had.
What is that?
There is one more thing, which I've left a good chunk of time here for you.
Oh, did you know?
The old Fusion Minute. We have to sound the sad songs here. We have to. I don't know. I know there's a lot of emotions surrounding this one. Adam,
here's the thing. You'll understand what music to put down after I'm done. I don't even know what to tell you at this moment, but the next whatever amount of moments. If you were a fan of the soccer portion of the podcast, you can turn it off.
Yeah,
now.
we're done.
We're done. We wrap it up. It's January. We got. I mean, they're in Clearwater playing. Everyone's having fun. We've told you all the cool things. Sons of Men news. Fat Lady Brewery was great. Polar Bear Plunge. Yada yada yada. Okay. That's it. Pod's over. So let me tell you something about the Comcast Corporation. And like we all don't like Comcast to begin with, even though like we should like Comcast a little bit because they do help our city have a little bit of prestige, but like they kind of suck, so whatever. When they moved the Fusion to Korea at the beginning of the pandemic, when they realized that the United States was they were not going to be able to play live matches in the United States, as well as they were getting ping issues playing other teams, and like they had visa issues because all of their players were Korean, so they were like, all right, we're just gonna go to Korea, cut out the middleman, but we'll be back. I actually believed they were coming back, and in retrospect, I know hindsight's 2020, and then the naivete of me believing that they were going to come back was pretty strong because they were never coming back. The Philadelphia Fusion have rebranded themselves as the Seoul Infernal. Not Inferno. Infernal. Infernal is the name of this team, whatever. The second team for the capital city of South Korea. And I don't actually have a big problem with that because Seoul is the hub of esports, possibly globally. Most of the Fusion were Korean. Just Korean nationals. A good chunk of the league is Korean nationals. And the Seoul Dynasty were the only geotagged team to Seoul. So the idea of Seoul getting two teams, because like Los Angeles had two teams. So it was just like the idea of Seoul getting two teams, or just Korea as a whole getting a second team, is not unheard of. To be at the cost of one of the few fan bases that took the geotagging of these teams seriously in a way where you don't have as many people following the Philadelphia Fusion if they're not from Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Because Philadelphians we're obsessed with sports, we're obsessed with representation, and we just want our city on the map of whatever it is. We want us to succeed. And the amount of almost success that the Union or the Fusion had was just, I mean, obviously insanely frustrating, but built a solid, and by the standards of Overwatch, a consistent fan base of people willing to show up, willing to buy the merchandise, willing to go to events, and willing to participate in forums, in comment sections, all that in between. The last major event I went to before the pandemic happened was the Fusion were playing a round robin tournament with the Florida Mayhem, the Houston Outlaws, and the Washington Justice. And they won both events. Gritty was there because
I remember this event.
Yeah. Gritty was there. Sean Braze got me the tickets to this. Shout out to Sean Braze. But like, by every stretch of the imagination, they sold out the Met in North Philadelphia, and you could believe that, okay, this would work. In this market, this could work. And then they told us they're building a stadium. They brought the players in, they used shovels, they broke ground, quote, air quote, broke ground on a stadium. So as a fan, you're going to be one of the few cities that builds the home arena.
Yeah.
Like no other team is saying we need to build them. Like the Comcast said, we want to build a 4,000 seat esports arena on the carcass of the Spectrum. So it's easily accessible to everyone and it fits into our sports scene, and it's no different than any other sports we have. If you go to Xfinity Live, even to this moment, the Fusion logo is on Xfinity Live. So Comcast was very much about making them a thing in Philadelphia. Then the pandemic happens, and again, fluctuation, moving around. It's video games. We get it. You treat it differently. But then after all of this, after your team still gets second place finish after second place finish, but still has some of the strongest fan base, regardless, it's like you've never won a title, but you've been in the title discussion so many times, it's nauseating. I mean, never won a title. With the most innocuous press release of all time, you let everyone know 2 days before the new year, we are no longer the Philadelphia Fusion. We will be relocating permanently to Seoul, Korea. And Tucker Roberts, the son of Brian Roberts, who owns the esports division and is, I believe, one of the main people of Comcast Spectacor, which nepotism personified. Just Webster's definition. He says, I hope our fans will follow us on this journey. And these are the same fans for the last 2 years who were getting up at 3 a.m. to watch this team play in Korea and continually lose finals to the Shanghai Dragons. This same fan base that accepted their because they were not the first North American team to go over to Asia. The New York Excelsior had did it. The Los Angeles Valiant had already done it. So it wasn't like they were new to do it. Mm-hmm. If anything, Overwatch should have flushed out the Apex region a little more than 5 teams before giving North America 16. Because, oh, look, the Paris Eternal are now the Vegas Eternal.
Really?
Yes. The Paris Eternal kept the logo, though. They're still the chicken logo. The rooster made it to Vegas and is now on the back of a poker chip. And their press release had balls behind it. They at least were like, look, this is what's happening. This is why we moved. This is what's going on. To get the press release for the Philadelphia Fusion, again, one of the most followed teams in your entire league, it was a backdoor third page thing on the Comcast Spectacor website. Mm-hmm. And then if you go on their website right now, even after, if you go on their Twitter page right now, even after saying they were going to rebrand, they sent out a Happy New Year with Fusion logos on it. With Fusion logoing on it. Said Happy New Year, see you in 2024. Like, no, you were not!
Yeah.
You physically are not seeing it. You're not a thing anymore. You are a new thing.
Yeah.
You are, look, the San Jose earthquakes that exist right now in San Jose are not the San Jose earthquakes of Landon Donovan. They are in Houston.
Yeah, they relocated. Yeah.
This is what you're not the Philadelphia Fusion anymore. You are the Solifernal.
Yep.
Be the Solifernal. But then they were like, all right, we changed the logo. And then all they did was they took a graphic where, and I'm not even sure this was in good taste if I gotta be real with you. They took a graphic where they had the Philadelphia background and the Fusion logo, and then there was a fire in the streets of Philadelphia, and then it became the Soul logo. I was like, what? Was that even good taste? Because, hold on, Comcast that still owns the team, those are your buildings.
Yeah, those are still.
That you're lighting on fire. Just saying.
Oh, Lord.
So here's the core of it. Here's the core of it. And this is something that I want to ask you a question about this because, obviously the podcast actually didn't even go that long today, so we can have this little discussion.
Sure.
For esports, do you believe geotags matter?
I don't. Meaning,
if you're going to make an esports team, does locating them or making them synonymous with a city
I don't think
matter?
No. I think they're trying to chase the
professional sports angle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no, because it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But if you're going to do it, you should do it the right way.
So if you're going to follow an esports team, how would you get into them? How would you pick a particular team to follow?
So if it was a game that wasn't like Overwatch, where it was just random teams, I would probably find a player that I like or a vibe of team that I enjoy.
Like a streamer that you were a fan of and just follow their team.
Yeah.
That's something for which I believe that this happening is going to be a very interesting discussion on it as a whole. The Overwatch League is doing okay. It's not doing great.
I think they had a lot different of a vision when they started the Overwatch League of what it would be.
Yeah.
And they thought that it would be more synonymous with a professional sports background where you do have teams that are located in cities and they're traveling to the other cities to play them on a regular basis. Like the whole...
Some Harlem Globetrotters stuff at minimum,
Yeah. And so I think COVID killed all of that.
Yeah.
I think maybe there was plans to get there, but then COVID just murdered all of them.
Yes.
And so I think now maybe they're trying... I don't know that Overwatch is in the best state anyway. I don't know that that's...
Overwatch 2 is not... the player count has gone down significantly because it's Overwatch 1.5. And
so I think this is more a matter of... And maybe actions that have been happening over the past 6 months, or more a matter
Blizzard
of
Activision
trying to
terrible.
Get away from the geo end of it, and maybe get to a spot where it is just the Infernal or the
Well, because that's the Call of Duty League does the geotags as well.
Do they?
Yeah, there's no team for Philadelphia, but they have like every other, like the Seattle, Toronto, all that. Like Atlanta, but Atlanta is named after FaZe Clan. They're literally the Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're a fan of FaZe Clan,
then you're gonna be a fan of them.
But are they actually? What is their connection with Atlanta? Are they actually based out of Atlanta? I don't know FaZe Clan enough to know that they're from Atlanta, but that's the Atlanta FaZe. Yeah. So it's just like I like Cloud9, right? So then if Cloud9 was now represented as a team, I probably would follow Cloud9 as a team. And here's the thing. I like T1, even though now they've just fucked me as a whole. Because the problem is T1's based out of Seoul. Even though it's owned by Comcast Spectacor, the whole T1 operation is in Seoul. So, and if anyone doesn't know, T1 is basically... It's like, it's weird because they're not the parent, but they're not also the feeder to the Fusion.
No, it's just a group, right?
But they're like partners with the Fusion.
Yeah.
It's like T1. A lot of where the Fusion get their talent from is from the T1 groups.
But it's like they have multiple teams across multiple games.
Yeah, like they got League of Legends, they got World of Warcraft, all that stuff. So they're in, but like a lot of what Overwatch, like for instance, when Carpe, who retired from Overwatch, he's going to Valorant full time. I believe it's a T1 Valorant team. So he's still staying in house. He's just switching sports, if you will. You know, you just
No, I see the draw of it of having the cities have teams.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the esports landscape is there yet. And maybe it will be in 10 to 15 years when there's a little bit more infrastructure and where maybe there's a higher following across these things. But I don't know that right now that's what people are clamoring for.
it seems to me the Fusion would still be in Philadelphia if it wasn't for the pandemic.
I would agree with that because I think the whole project probably was a casualty of COVID. Yeah. Whether it's indirect or direct.
Yeah.
I think that was going to happen if it wasn't for COVID. And yeah I would agree with you.
Yeah, because I think what they saw with the first couple of matches that I saw of live events since, because remember the first 2 years of the Overwatch League were just pretty much in Los Angeles exclusively.
Yeah. No.
And then they finally started moving it around in 2019, going into 2020. I think they wanted to make it professional sports, Harlem Globetrotter circus style, bring 4 teams. They move around the country. Yeah. They have home stands where these guys will play, and then they'll put finals in particular locations. They did start home stands back in Asia. So like China, like Guangzhou and those guys have had home stands in China. And they're going to they have done live events. Like they did the Overwatch finals in Anaheim.
Finals are always a big event. And
those have been live events since the pandemic. We've done those live since the pandemic now. So my answer to the question is, will they actually suffer because of this? And if the answer is yes, does that mean geotags mean something?
Who suffer?
The Overwatch League. Because as I pointed out, Philadelphia was probably one of the stronger fan bases.
No, I think the only way they do this is if it makes sense for them in a positive way. I think they probably analyzed a million things before they actually did this.
I would like to
think that like you said, if Seoul and by retrospect Korea is such a hub of all of this, then I think in the long run they're probably going to be all right. But yeah.
To cap it, for me, it's basically Columbus and Austin all over again in MLS, where it's just like, Austin definitely deserves a MLS representation because that city is
not
great.
By way of Columbus.
But at what cost are we getting that representation? Yeah. And like,
because if that stadium happens, I think it's bigger than Overwatch. Obviously, that's now a hub for everybody in like a 200-300 mile radius.
And that's the thing. So like, it benefits us here at the Union because that means our esports hub is the only one of prominence within like a 50-mile radius of where we sit right now. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, look, you had an opportunity, Comcast, to make it bigger than just the Fusion.
Yeah, exactly.
And you picked just doing that over the grand scheme. Because like we've heard zero movement on this stadium. Yeah. By all intents and purposes, you got to imagine it's dead now.
Oh,
if you don't have a team, Fusion Arena doesn't happen if there's no Fusion.
No.
So if it's dead, what was the purpose of that? Because it's not like, okay, now we can't build it. Like there's so much construction in Philadelphia right now. You're going to tell me now you can't build that stadium? Like there's some particular reason? It doesn't make enough sense to me for Comcast to not just make a second team. Because who really gives a shit? Yeah. If you own 2 teams, who really? It's like when Barcelona B also plays in Syria and La Liga occasionally. It's like, who cares?
And maybe we see it, but and it's like I remember talking to you when that stadium was first announced, and it's like this could literally make Philadelphia the hub of esports for at least the East Coast. Maybe you say the country. Maybe down the line you look at it.
You're fighting Los Angeles on that, but
of course. But yes.
But essentially, yes.
But that's what it could have been.
Yes,
and it's because it's so early in the landscape of those things where you get it now, and you'd be one of the it's like.
You would beat
those early adopters of it are going to be the ones that flourish in the long run, and so
you would beat New York.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Philadelphia doesn't often. Well, it's not like they often don't beat New York to doing something; they just don't perfect it like New York does. But like you had an opportunity to make Philadelphia, in particular, a tourist destination based off the fact that you're now dealing with all of these people who are coming from all over the country, all over the planet, to be at this hub to participate in this with you. And then you misfired on that front. Look. This is the last
wrap it up.
Last Fusion Minute. That was it. This is fun, and you'll never have to hear this again.
All right, and that's it from us. We'll be back. I don't know. I'll do Adam's Wash Your Hands.
Look, no, we'll be back relatively shortly. Something has to happen, I think, at this point. Like, if something interesting happens at preseason, we'll come back next week. If not, we'll see you probably closer to the first game.
Peace.